Welcome to practice 14 of our interactive notes. Practice 14. Practice using a protractor to measure angles, pages 21 and 22. So since this is a practice, you want to make sure that you try it first and just use this to check your answers. Okay, so here, first thing we always do, put our heading on, name, number, date. First and last in cursive. Remember to put the date you are working on these notes, not necessarily the date that I am writing. Our subject is math. Okay, so here we have different protractors, and we're looking for different answers to go here that will help us to crack this code down here. So first we're looking at, let's see, this is the SPN. So let's find S. Here's the point SPN. So it starts at 0 degrees and goes up to 90 degrees. Okay, so you're using this to check your answers. You should be trying it on your own. Okay, NPB, NPB. So it's obtuse. Using the bottom set of numbers, it's between 140 and 150, so it's 145 degrees. CPN. So CPN, obtuse, bottom set of numbers. It's between 160 and 170. It's halfway in between, so it's 165 degrees. DPC. So we're pointing at this 0. We're using the top set of numbers. It's halfway between 10 and 20, so it's 15 degrees. MPN, MPN, bottom set of numbers. It's crossing between the 20 and the 30, so that would be 25 degrees. GPN, so GPN, bottom set of numbers, it's pointing directly at the 40 degrees. DPB, DPB. So we're using the top set of numbers. It's pointing halfway between 30 and 40, so that would be 35 degrees. APC. Oh, neither one of these is at the 0, so I'm going to have to count or subtract. So from here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and then halfway between 100 and 110, so it would be 105. Also, this is pointing at the 120, this is pointing at the 15. 120 take away 15 is 105. Or I could use 165 take away 60 is 105. DPA, DPA, so we do have one side pointing at the zeros. Top set of numbers, 120 degrees. DPN. Ah, that's a straight angle. See that straight line, straight angle? From 0 to 180 or from 0 to 180. BPA. So BPA. Neither one's at the 0, so I'm going to either count or subtract. So here we go, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Halfway in between is 85 degrees. You could also do 120, take away 35, or 155, take away, 145, take away 60, and you get 85. APG, well, this is 10, 20 away. 140, take away 120, or 60, take away 40, you get 20 degrees. GPN, GPD, it helps to read the right letters. GPD makes a big difference. 0's the outside set of numbers. So we get over here, we get 140 degrees. SPC, SPC. Neither one's at the 0, so I'm going to have to count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Halfway in between is 75 degrees. I also could do 165, take away 90, or 90, take away 15, and I get 75 degrees. Okay, now this isn't an angle. This is a line segment. So we're going to use these inches or centimeter measurements to figure out what they are. So here, from E to H, what is the length of this line segment? Well, here we're measuring 1, 2, this is at the halfway point. So this is 1, 2, 3 and a half. 3.5 inches, or as a decimal, 3.5 inches. I don't know which one we'll need. Because it's 4, take away this half inch. 4 inches take away half inch is 3.5. Because it did not start at the 0. Okay, CPG. CPG. So let's see. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Halfway in between is 125 degrees. Also, 140 take away 15 is 125, or 165 take away 40 is 125. SPA, so that's 10, 20, 30. 120 take away 90 is 30, or 90 take away 60 is 30 degrees. Angle APN, APN. Well, one of them is at the 0, so I just look and see where the other one terminates. Bottom set of numbers, 60 degrees. DPM, DPM. We have one lined up at the 0, so the outside set of numbers. Okay, it's halfway between 150 and 160, so 155 degrees. And now we're looking at line segment FY. So we're on the centimeters one. Centimeters are smaller than inches. We're starting at the 7. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and halfway. So 4.5 centimeters, or 4.5 centimeters. Okay, so now that we have this all filled out, we can work to crack the code. So let's see. When I look for all my 90 degrees, it's the letter L. Okay. 145 is F. 165 is M. Fifteen is O. Twenty-five is R. I forgot this. Oh. Okay. 40 is T. Thirty-five is B. One hundred five is G. One hundred 20 is C. One hundred 80 is P. Eighty-five is H. Twenty is S. One hundred 40 is D. $75 is I. Three and a half is N. 125 is A. $30 is Y. $60 is W. Oh, I forgot this Y. I missed 165 over here, so we have an M here. 155 is an E. And then 4.5 is U. So I missed a 20. That's an S. How did I miss both of those? And then an R. All right, so we have our quote. Do not worry about your, missed a U, sorry, difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you mine are still greater. Albert Einstein. Should have a close quote here. All right, now let's look at the other side. So what you're going to need to do is take your protractor and you're going to need to measure each of these angles, figure out the degree measure and the classification, what you estimate it to be, and the actual measure. Okay, and then come back and check your answer with me after you've tried this page. Don't just copy this down. I want you to try it on your own. Okay, now that you've tried it, we're going to put this vertex on the center. We're going to line up one of the sides with 0. Actually, before that, let's look at this. So this is less than 90 degrees. So it's an acute angle. And it looks kind of like on the smaller side, less than half of a 90-degree angle. So let's say about maybe 25 degrees. Somewhere around there. Now we'll measure. Go ahead and line that up. See where it terminates. The 0 are the inner numbers. Also, it's acute, so it should be less than 90. So it terminates or it intersects right at the 30 degrees. So the actual angle measure is 30 degrees. So this right here is an obtuse angle. I can tell it's larger than 90 degrees, but not much. So I'm going to say it's about 100 degrees because it looks just a little bit bigger. I'm going to take my midpoint, put it on my vertex because that's going to be the center of my circle. Line up at the 0. See where it looks like it's pretty close to 110 degrees. Looks like that's where it's pointing. Okay. This one looks like it's a little bit smaller than 90 degrees, but really, really close. So I think it's an acute angle. It's a little bit smaller, so about, I'm going to say 85 degrees, because it's pretty close. So I'm going to line up, put my midpoint on the vertex, line it up, and it looks actually like it's a little bit past that. Let's see, it looks like it's maybe closer to 87 degrees. Since you can kind of see it, you want to try to be as precise as you can be. This is why I have given you these little protractors, because the ones at the store are much too large. You can't even see where they're pointing because they're so big. These we can at least see. You'd have to extend out those rays, which sometimes you can get off with drawing them out, and then that affects your angle measure. Okay, this one is an obtuse angle. And that looks pretty big. It's closer to a straight angle of 180, so I'm going to say it's about 150 degrees. So it's about 150 degrees. That's my estimate. I'm going to put this point on the vertex. I'm going to line up. Since I'm using this side, I'm using the top set of numbers. It actually looks like it's pointing closer to 160, pretty close to that. So I'm going to say it's a 158 degrees. It's pretty close to 160. Okay, this next one tells me what it is. It's right there. This is a right angle. So it should be 90 degrees. Now sometimes when they have these drawings, they may not be precise. So they'll put the mark if we need it to be. So if I put the midpoint on the vertex, I line up with the 0. Yes, it crosses at the 90 degrees. It is 90 degrees. Okay, then my last one down here. This is a very little angle. It is an acute angle. It doesn't look very big, so I'm going to say it's about 20 degrees. Oops, I forgot the word about for my estimate. Okay, so I'm going to put this on the vertex. Line it up with my 0, so it's the bottom set of numbers. I can see exactly where it crosses. It crosses, let's see, make sure it's lined up. It crosses right at the, so here's 10, 11, 12. 12 degrees. Okay, so now that you've practiced using this protractor, let's do some more practice, especially on the computer, because that's what you'll use for state testing. Okay, thank you for joining me.